get right into it. Welcome on back. Week 3 of the Rabbit Hole. Week 3 of the college football season just got done. It's week 4. Welcome on back to the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Chris Baker. We got Preston Poole, Jake Cart. You guys know the deal. We're going to go around and tell everyone what our records are heading into week 4 after the completion of this past weekend. We have to do one load of business, one discourse of business real quick. I had a late pick. I want you guys to just confirm that it's a pick I got in on time. I know Preston and I talked about it. Jake, if you need to check the receipts, I'll pull up Twitter for you, show it right to your face. But if you guys are good with it, I had Michigan State as a late ad about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, right before all the games kicked off. I just had a good feeling about Michigan State. I don't know. I just saw, I think it was like plus 6.5. I was like, they're going to win the game outright anyway. So I just took that spread. If you guys are good with it, I'm adding it to my record. That's
no problem for me. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Visual confirmation. I needed auditory confirmation from Jake right there.
Yeah.
So my record's 6-6 on the season. I think Preston, what's your record? And real quick, follow me and the podcast at the Bacus here at Rabbit Hole. Preston, let everyone know where they can follow you, and then your record. Any quick thoughts, tangents you want to get out? Jake, you as well after him.
Yeah, terrible weekend for me in many ways that Chris probably knows. But 0-3 last weekend, gambling, 5-5 on the season. So I've started 5-2 at the end of last weekend, ended up 5-5. So not a good Saturday for me, that's for sure.
So we're sitting right there. We're both 500. You know, I got that 6-6. I pulled out from the fucking deep end. I was 3-5 last week or heading into the week. So got back to even. Jake, what are you at?
I am currently sitting at 3-6. I was basically where you were at last week. I had another bad week, bunch of crazy games. I think the moral of the story is I had Central Florida and Louisville. That game was insane. The Cincinnati, Indiana, I had the over. That one cleared easy. And then Auburn. New rule for Jake. I'm never betting Auburn again.
Dude, I'm right there with you on Florida State. I will never mark my fucking words. I will never give support to Florida State. Never again. I will not do it. 2 or 3 years ago when I fucking put support for Willie Taggart's team out there on the field, and I said I wouldn't do it again. No, this time's for real. I will never support Florida State again. You just will never see it. I don't care if it's 5 years from now and they're the most obvious new Bama dynasty, or 10 years into they're the new dynasty. I don't care. I will never believe or support Florida State. It just won't happen. They've fucked me too much. And Preston kind of alluded to it. I saw Preston this weekend after the game down in Norman. He got to go out, or he came out and watched the Johnny Woods show out at Othello's. That was a fun time. But after the show, just chit-chatting as we were cleaning up and packing up and stuff, I just got caught up in a little rant that was going on about Florida State. And Johnny was like, yo, you ready to go? And I was like, yeah, sorry about that. But that just happens to me now. I just start ranting about Florida State. I'll be in the grocery store and I'll just be like, Florida State fucked me. They're never going to get support from me ever again. And I don't know if they necessarily should care about that, but I feel like I gave them a fucking bone on that one, because I used to be the biggest. They used to be up there with the UCLAs and the Tennessees of the world in my eyes. And I took them down from that. They're right at the top. They're the worst of them all. I don't know what's going on down there. I guess I saw Brandon Walker was saying that he actually likes Florida State this weekend because it's one of those, they're playing at home. They're getting embarrassed the last 3 weeks, and they have something to play for now. I don't know if that's true. I think they're just going to be an embarrassment for the rest of time.
I have to tend to agree with you on the embarrassment part. I think they're although they did win the national championship in 2013 with Jameis, they've fallen off almost to a Nebraska level, if you will, when it comes to powerhouse schools that are probably not going to make it back anytime soon.
So, Preston, let's get right into it. Nebraska, how did they make you feel this past weekend? You have stepped down. I think you actually took for getting a win. I think you stepped down a rung. I know our resident troll Dylan, OKC Sooners on Twitter or whatever his handle is. He's officially taken a step. He's officially declared that he is not supporting Spencer Rattler. He doesn't believe in him. What's your thoughts on that?
So I think Spencer Rattler's fine. I mean, look, when it comes down to it, he hasn't turned the ball over since Tulane, and I think he threw both of those in the first half. I can't remember. Seems like it was forever ago, but
yeah, it actually does.
He hasn't turned the ball over since then. He's basically just taken whatever the defense has given him, and I think that it's more on Lincoln Riley being conservative this year than it is on Spencer Rattler, because you don't see them going downfield as often as they have in previous years. And that could just be the offensive line trying to gel. But I also think Nebraska this week played that way to where they weren't going to give OU anything downfield. They were going to make OU run the ball or throw those little cross routes or something like that. Instead of trying to take the big shot, they were going to make OU go on, 14 play drives like they did on that opening drive that they did. And that's why I think the score was as low as it was. Is because OU only had the ball, I think, a handful of times. I mean, in that first quarter, they had the ball once, and then Nebraska ran the clock down the rest of the first quarter. So it's hard to score, 50 points when Nebraska's just at snail's pace all the way down the field, and you're not on the field. But I think Spencer Rattler's going to be fine. I mean, I trust Lincoln Riley. He says they're not that far off. He's the offensive genius when it comes to all this stuff. So who am I to question his offensive abilities when it comes to things like this?
You might not be able to question him, but I for sure can. I mean, isn't that the narrative the last 3 years, is that he's just been too conservative at times? Typically it's been in the second half. He goes up, they throttle the first half. And I know that's the defensive fault on the second half side. The last 2 years, it's been the defense just giving up points left and right. But over the last 2 years, their second halves have usually only been like, I think last year's K-State game in the second half, they only scored like 3 points, right, Jake? I think they only scored 3 points or maybe even just 7 or 10. But in the second half, their offense in the second half the last 2 years has always been almost like conservative, if you will. So I don't know if is that Lincoln Riley, or is that just like because the defense falls off, and so it kind of gives it fluctuates that offense.
And I heard Todd Lisby and Eddie Radosevich talking about this on the Franchise Morning Show on my way to work today. It's basically maybe Lincoln's just trying to give his defense a break. That way they're not on the field as much as they were in when Baker was here, Kyler. Because, I mean, those were big play offenses right there.
Yeah, those were guys, 2-minute possessions.
Yeah. So they're scoring in 3 or 4 plays. Now you have the offense that's scoring in 14 plays, 12 plays, something like that. So maybe it's more Lincoln Riley playing into wanting to keep his defense fresh for a whole game and not scoring that many points. But, I mean, it's one of those things that we don't really know for sure. Because Lincoln Riley's not going to say it.
I like that take, though. I actually didn't think of it like that. Maybe he is trying to conserve that defense. And Jake, I want to get your opinion on this. I know it's kind of been our show for this first 2 minutes or so, but give us your thoughts on what OU is doing. Because, I mean, they're kind of like right up there, heading into the season, they were like, they might be better than Bama. They might be better than fucking everyone. And now it's like, they're just kind of like the mediocre team, not the mediocre team, mediocre for the top tier teams that we should be looking at, because they're not as bad as Clemson is, but are they as good as what we thought they should be?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not time to hit the panic button yet, because if you go back, because I'm the same way as Preston. I listen to sports radio and all this stuff, and you have a lot of OU fans panicking about everything. But if you just think back of where you were last year, you had 2 losses at Kansas State and Iowa State, and you almost lost to Texas in whatever triple, quadruple overtime. So you're not in that situation. At least you won all of these games. So it's not.
And if this is Spencer Rattler from last year, they probably have a loss to Tulane and a loss to Nebraska. So
I mean, Rattler is not playing to his potential in a way. He's missing a lot of throws. He's not turning the ball over, but they're leaning on him a little bit. I think the thing is the offensive strategy was, yes, play conservative and everything. But the second I saw them run the reverse play where you throw it back and then they threw it downfield, like I feel like that's Lincoln trying to open things up. I believe what happened really truly is against Nebraska. Nebraska knew, like, okay, OU's defense, your front seven is going to stop the run. They really in that first half struggled to run the ball. So they said, okay, we're going to hit the outsides. We're going to make that. I mean, I think Martinez was like 7-7 or 7-8 or whatever it was.
No, yeah, he played good.
So, they were effective throwing the ball. It's kind of typical OU defense of they're big, they're fast, their front seven is good, but that secondary is somewhat questionable at times. So I think Nebraska kind of exposed the secondary. And I mean, Nebraska threw the kitchen sink at it, I believe. So, I don't think it's time yet to hit the panic button, but I believe that OU at this point in time is not, but they've proven time and time again towards the end of the year, OU always gets better as the season goes on. So I wouldn't be panicking as much right now as a lot of people are.
Now, Jake, you alluded to something, and Preston, I want to know if you agree. Do you think Spencer Rattler over the last 2 years has been playing to his potential, not to his potential, or above his potential?
I personally think at the end of last year was the best Spencer Rattler that we've seen yet. And
so this year he's regressed in a way. But I still think he can play up to that potential. I mean, obviously he's done it before. He can do it again. Let me throw this idea out to you guys. Do you think Oklahoma as a state is a black hole or a death pot for quarterbacks named Spencer? Because Spencer Sanders hasn't been living up to his potential the last few years either. And now Spencer Rattler isn't living up to his potential this year either. So like, are quarterbacks named Spencer, like, should the next top quarterback that's named Spencer be looking at staying away from Oklahoma as a state, like whether it be OU or Oklahoma State? I mean, is that a question we really need to be asking? I think so. I think it is.
Well, here's another thing. Spencer Rattler's won the last 11 games in a row for the University of Oklahoma. So it's not like he's going out there and playing like complete dog shit, He's going out there. He's doing what he has to do. He's, the term, he's a game manager. He's managing the game, right? He's doing what he has to do to go out there and get a win.
Tannehill, greatest game manager there is right now.
But he's doing what he has to do to go out there and get a win. He's not doing anything special. He's not doing anything like, he's doing what he has to do to win. And I mean, you can't fault the guy for doing that. Like, he's not losing football games for OU.
Unlike Spencer Sanders in Oklahoma State. Is that what you're trying to say?
Bro, no, 3-0. Come on.
Hey, no, yeah, exactly. Year, but like over the course of his career, he's lost you guys games. I mean, let's just be real. Spencer Sanders has lost you guys games in the last few years. And obviously you guys are undefeated this year. I don't know. That was, by the way, what a game up at the fucking Smurf turf.
Yeah. One of the craziest games I've ever witnessed ever, probably in program history. One of the craziest games ever.
I mean, actually didn't watch it, so I just read insane. And saw some of the highlights. So let's get a full rundown real quick.
Yeah, because I did not watch 1 second of that game.
Oh my gosh, you guys missed one of the. I mean, I'm not joking. Probably the craziest game in program history, just because of who we are and what we do. We've historically an offensive team, and then now it's like completely flip flopped. Where, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, Boise State came out firing. They wore the all blues, the blue helmet, blue jersey, blue pants. And I knew it was going to be kind of a dogfight from there. The week before, I think we played 6 freshmen. This week, we played, I think, 13 or something. Like, we had 13 starting true freshmen. I mean, we're about to change our symbol to the Red Cross because of how many injuries we have. It's insane. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. The only thing that's even comparable is maybe last year with Baylor when they had like 19 people out for COVID or something just outrageous like that's. But we're doing this week in, week out. I mean, we have 3 true freshman starters. Our most senior wide receiver is Brendan Presley, who's a true sophomore who's played, I think, 6 games total.
He's the one that got rocked, career, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He got
so you did see rocked. A little bit.
Hey, but credit to him.
Saw the bad parts.
He got up, like, and he said that on Twitter. Yeah. I think he was like, it doesn't matter how hard or how many times you get knocked down, you just gotta get back up.
Yeah,
and he did. So I mean, credit to him.
I think the thing was with the Boise State game was we finally got Hunter Woodard back in offensive line. Our offensive line actually got a push, and we started to run the ball. I mean, we had one completion for 7 yards in the first half. So, we exploded in the second half for, I think, 5 passes to have a total of 80 yards. So, the thing is just, it's crazy. We ran the ball 50 times. We had like 52 carries or something for like almost 300 yards or something in the ballpark of that. Like, we just burned the clock. I don't think Boise touched the ball in the entire third quarter. No one scored a single point in the second half. We blocked a field goal. We fumbled the ball. They returned it for a touchdown. The call was played dead. And then out of all of that, it went to third down, and Cale Cabernet, a walk-on, that's, I think, 9th on the depth chart, who barely, I think, plays for us. I mean, there was a tweet by the KOC 5 Carson dude that deleted where he was like, I think the equipment manager just ran a fade for OSU. So,
he deleted that? Are you calling him out on that?
He deleted that. I mean, well, a lot of players say disrespect, it's one of those where it's a good joke, but the thing is, he won us the game. I mean, he clutched up. Homie's a walk-on freshman that never thought he was ever. I mean, Casey Dunn, after the game in an interview, our offensive coordinator, said, why was Cale Cabernet in the game? He was like, well, if Cale Cabernet wasn't in the game, he's like, I would have had to put on pads and get in the game. That's how low we are on the depth chart.
Wow.
So congrats to Cale Cabernet for that huge catch to win the game for us.
Heading into, the defense is actually like the talk of a lot of Big 12 teams, not a lot, but a few Big 12 teams. Texas A&M's probably got one of the better defenses in the nation. And then you guys you guys are on the defensive side this year. I would say, like, you're not really as offensive compared to the last decade or so, right? Like, you're very heavy on the defense this year. K-State's got a decent defense, and you guys are actually playing them this weekend. Are you worried about that game? Because that's only a 6.5. I think that's only a 6.5 point spread. Might be
6.5.
Well, going into the Boise State game,
it's at 6 now.
Yeah, going into the Boise State game, we were -4. Preston took Boise State. I was more worried about Boise State. The Smurf turf is historic. They've lost 10 games in the last since 2000, I think. Yeah, they're like 120 something and 10 on the Smurf turf. So I think the Smurf turf scared me more just because of what crazy stuff happened and the way the game played out. I mean, to have to block a field goal, have a walk-on, catch a fade route, like, there's so many things that had to happen. I mean, we ran the ball 52 times. They stacked the box, and we just continued to run. And it was just, it was just such a weird, crazy game that was just insane. I think K-State is kind of scary because we don't really know where they're at. Will Howard, I think, is decent. If it was Skylar Thompson, I would be really worried because of the abilities that he has. Will Howard, I believe, is really good. I think he doesn't get that much credit for what he can do. But K-State, us and K-State have always kind of had almost a miniature kind of rivalry. So yeah, I think it'll be a close game.
It's over under 46. What do you think on that? It doesn't have to be. Is it, unless it's one of your picks, you can hold on to it. But I'm just curious on your thoughts.
I didn't pick that. It depends on if we honestly get wide receivers back or not. I mean, literally right now we have Bryson Green that got a hand injury during the game. He's a true freshman starting X. We have Brennan Presley, who got rocked, who did get back up, but he's starting slot. And then we have John Paul Richardson, who's a true freshman that this is his 4th game or 3rd game ever. And then we have Rashud Owens, who's 3rd because he's behind Tay Martin and Jaden Bray. And both of those guys are both injured. So we're starting 3 true freshmen and then Brennan Presley. And so if we can get back Tay Martin, if we can get back Jaden Bray, even though Jaden Bray is a freshman, if we can get some kind of depth in the wide receiver core, I would feel a lot better. But there's just no way we're going to be able to rush the ball 50 times a game.
Wasn't there a very egregious officiating mishap in that game?
Yeah. So
what was that? Because I want to talk about that real quick. I think and Preston probably knows it too because he was watching. I know he was watching NFL on Sunday. But Was this like one of the most egregious officiating weekends just all throughout the whole board? I mean, Mississippi State got fucked. I don't know what happened in that game, but I was hearing that game had a terrible call that fucked a lot of so I don't know which side it was that got screwed over on the call. That fucking Chargers Cowboys game. I mean, there was some bad calls. I mean, basically cost you guys the game. In terms of the Chargers.
I think, and even look, high school football here in Oklahoma, I heard from multiple guys that were calling games across the state. And even the game that I called, there were so many flags thrown this weekend in high school football here in the state of Oklahoma. So I don't know what's in the water when it comes.
Is it the cooler air? Like, I know we had a cold front come through, but like, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, well, here's the thing. The Oklahoma State game was 21-20. We stopped them 3-and-out. They punted to us. We got the ball. Jalen Warren went to the side and he fumbled the ball. But it was kind of a bang, really hard to call. He looked like he was down, so the ref blew him down, but it was a scoop and score. So they went to review. He did fumble, and then they said, well, we called the play dead. So they gave Boise the ball there. So that would have been Boise winning the game. And then Boise went to kick the field goal, got the field goal blocked, also would have been a game winner. And so that's kind of how that call went. The Memphis game was they punted the ball to Memphis. Mississippi State punted the ball to Memphis. They downed the punt. The referee was blowing it dead. As he's blowing it dead, Austin picked up the ball and ran it 98 yards for a touchdown. But it was one of those things where
never in history has a player on a kick, whether it be a kickoff or a punt, touch the ball, taking a knee, and then had the ball be live after the fact. Like I don't think that's ever happened. I mean, I justifiably I support Brandon Walker's rant on that because like that is egregious. And you know what the most outrageous thing? I have never understood it my whole life. It might be a top 5 thing I'd never understood in my life is why professional officials don't have to do press conferences after or don't get held accountable. It's insane. It is insanity that officials don't have to go to the fucking press box and answer questions about the game. That should be a requirement just as much as it is the quarterback of the franchise having to go out there every weekend.
You're also talking about the league. Yeah, you're also talking about the league that does taunting penalties now for literally anything. So,
oh my God, it's getting unreal.
The NFL is
Preston, talk about that Chargers game because I know I don't recall the specific calls. I just remember I was sitting there. I mean, we were texting. I was basically like, or tweeting at each other, like, "Are you good? Are you all right?" Basically, like that was abysmal officiating. And yeah, the taunting is just a whole other topic.
In the fourth quarter, they get down to the 2-yard line and they throw. Justin Herbert throws a touchdown to Jared Cook to go up on the Cowboys, and they call illegal procedure on the offensive line. It is what it is. All right, whatever. Next play, Justin Herbert snaps it. He's rolling out. The Dallas defense chases after him. He runs back to about the 25. He's literally pushing a Dallas defender off of him and throwing the ball at the same time. And they call him down.
In the air. He hadn't been tackled yet. He hadn't been tackled
yet.
They
goal.
Called a sack in the standing up sack.
3rd and goal from the 25. Obviously, they don't score. They kick a field goal. They tie it up. But it's still like, it is what it is. I hate to blame games on the officials. The officials were terrible both ways in that game, even for Dallas. It sucks that they cost us at least 14 points.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm talking about, though. I understand like officiating can't be what decides a game until it is. In that Memphis Mississippi State game, that absolutely decided the game. Absolutely decided the game. When you have a close game like that, saying that officiating shouldn't decide a game, obviously it shouldn't. It shouldn't happen. Like those mistakes shouldn't happen. But you can't just be like, oh, it shouldn't even be close. Like, no, that's the point of sports. Teams should be like competing right up to the final minute. Like a call shouldn't be what screws one team over versus another. Like obviously if you're on the better side of it, you're like, oh, officiating doesn't win games, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's just egregious. I think refs should have to be held accountable. They should have to go to the pressers. They should be getting suspended. They should be getting fined just as a player would. I mean, it's like a player getting a taunting suspension or fine or whatever, and then having to answer for it. It's like they had to it's just insane to me. I can't even get the words out right now because it's so. I've never understood it since I was a little kid. I would be like, wait a second. What's the reasoning behind that call? Like the first one I remember, the very first one I ever remember, like, and this is, I was kind of a, young adult at the time or middle-aged teenager. I might've been, I can't remember exactly when this was, but Angel Hernandez, the Detroit pitcher that had, or maybe it wasn't Angel Hernandez, but the Detroit pitcher that had a perfect game going. It was 9th inning, 2 outs.
Yeah.
Foot on first base. They called him safe or whatever.
I think it was Joe West, I believe.
It might have been Joe West, but it could have. I almost want Angel Hernandez is another terrible official or ump in baseball, and so it's like that's one I distinctly remember from like a few years, like handful of years ago, where before I became like aware, like very very into
that was
sports.
2010 to 2012, somewhere in there.
Yeah, something like that. That's one that always stuck out with me. Like, how does he not have to answer that? Like, how does he not have to go be like, basically all we want as fans is for the officials to be like, yeah, I'm an idiot and I fucked this up. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's all we want.
Yeah, they'll never do that. That'll never happen.
You can't change the outcome of the game. You can't just be like, oh yeah, never mind. The other team won. Because that's just not how it works. All we want as fans is accountability. That's all we want. I'm sorry. But that's like, that's the one thing.
Well, I think the thing was too is like if you go
Jake,
back,
I know you got one with Central Michigan.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to get into. Well, it's like back even I'll give credit to OU of the OU Oregon, where Oregon that onside kick was one of the worst calls ever, where OU clearly recovered the ball. It was so blatant, clear as day. Like
the picture of the guys outside the pile holding onto the football, and like they're like, no, Oregon has the ball.
That call converted Jake. That call converted Jake to a go orange.
Well, no, but here's the thing: is that those refs got suspended. Like they actually felt accountable. So there was some, at that point, replay was new and everything. And they were just like, well, I guess we screwed the pooch and everything. And that was like, why even have replay and all of that jazz. But I separate in two categories. There's one time of like to call a play that affects the game in a thing. But what happened to us with Central Michigan is the referees broke the rules of the game, of that they didn't know what the rules were. And therefore they allowed a play to happen that should never have happened because based on the rules. So, I mean, the thing is there's one thing to, call a dude safe when he's safe or when he's out or whatever to make
a judgment call. Like a judgment
call other than, oh, this is what the rule states. Well, we're just not going to follow the rules. Like that's what happened. Like that, I can't explain what happened there. Like it's just crazy.
Last 5 years, how many calls do you think similar to, because that Central Michigan was what, last year, 2 years ago?
No, that was a while ago. Yeah, that was Mason Rudolph last year.
Oh, maybe it was 17. A few years. Look at time has been all mushy jumbled up with me the last 2 years or so. So I don't really know what anything is. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of recent. In the last 4 years, how many calls like that have you felt? Maybe not the rule aspect of it, but like just egregious calls with your team. How many times do you remember that happening in a season?
There's a couple, but I mean, I think
they never once they were held accountable. I mean, that's just what we're.
Yeah, that's what I think one of the big thing is like I think pass interference is a big, huge topic. Of a lot of people get screwed with pass interference all the time. But I mean, last week we had a roughing the passer call where we sacked the quarterback. He never let go of the ball. He was a runner. He didn't get tackled high. He didn't get tackled low. He just got tackled. They threw a flag called roughing the passer. And Gundy threw his headset off and was like, what was that? And then the ref just went to the sideline. And Gundy said after the game, the ref said, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I called it wrong. But at that point, they already called it and moved the ball. And so everything happened. So there was nothing that we could do at that point, but it was just crazy. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I mean, I agree. I mean, so let's move into something else. I mean, I don't know.
I do have one topic that I wanted to bring out because I'm looking at the schedule. Since Oklahoma State, basically everyone in the Big 12 besides OU and Texas got put on this deal with ESPN. Jake, I wanted to get your thoughts real quick. Basically, how do you feel having to pay to watch your team play on ESPN Plus? Because I think that's just the worst thing ever that ESPN has ever done, and the Big 12.
Agreed.
Yeah. ESPN Plus is garbage. I have been dealing with it for a while now because I don't just watch football, I watch basketball. And if you want to watch basketball, you have to, it's the majority of your seasons on ESPN Plus. But yeah, I mean, it's totally garbage. I mean, the good thing that you get out of ESPN Plus is you better hope and pray you have season tickets in a home game, because like how I do, where you get to go to the game anyway, and it doesn't really matter. And the good thing is you get that time slot. Is most of the time, if you're playing on ESPN Plus, you're going to be playing prime time ish kind of thing. So that's how we've had all these every game we've had this year is 6 p.m. except Tulsa. It was 11. So, I think ESPN Plus, it's sketchy because it's kind of in-house broadcasting. Like they don't really use, like ESPN doesn't come with, it's not like Fox or any kind of primetime game where they bring out all their stuff. They like do in-house broadcasting from the school. So like we kind of have to do it. And then, people get the blame either way, whether that broadcast is good or not. And, ESPN Plus just kind of sucks. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's good that if you have it, then you're always going to get it. And, it's one of those things, but it's like, man, it sucks. I feel bad for Kansas State, because this is our first game on ESPN Plus and probably our last. All 3 Kansas State games, all of them have been on ESPN Plus, and they promised them last week that they wouldn't have any more, and it's on it again because they said, it's Oklahoma State's ESPN Plus. So all 3 games, if you're a Kansas State fan, I feel for you. All 3 of your games have been on ESPN Plus, and it's just crazy.
That is terrible. I mean, that is terrible. The ESPN Plus thing is the dumbest thing ever created. I mean, there's just so much money out there that they could like be okay with and not do the whole ESPN Plus thing, and then give the fans what they want and have more viewers and have more commercials for those viewers. Like just create another channel. You're not a fucking pay channel, but like just
I would be okay. Here, I'll put it this way. I would be okay if they completely monopolized it. If it was ESPN Plus, everything. If ESPN, basically, if I could delete cable and just have ESPN Plus and have all college football, then but having a
totally different story, totally different story.
Yeah, that's the only way that I see ESPN Plus like really surviving.
Which I think that's kind of a model that they'll eventually get to, since cable is going to be basically obsolete here in 10 years.
I think the thing is too, is that you look at the numbers of everything like that, like Sooner Sports TV or Longhorn Network or all of these things, and they're not doing well. So it's like, when you crunch the numbers and think about your longevity and future of like, yeah, it kind of works right now, but how long is people really going to buy in? And with conference realignment, there's just many things in the air of how do you draw deals, and it's just all crazy right now. So it's impossible to get to the bottom of it.
Absolutely. And before we get into the next segment, you guys won't notice because I'll just edit this shit together, but we're going to take a quick break real quick and then wrap things up in the next segment. So I don't know where we left off, but where we're going is to talk about fucking that upstate team that just, I can't get right. Buffalo. I don't know every time I go with them, they drop the ball. I go against them, they pick the ball up. I don't know what to do with Buffalo. I almost want to take them this week, but I'm not going to. What were some other games that stuck out for you guys? Obviously, the Penn State Auburn game was pretty big. That was the whiteout game. That was awesome to see. I think each week as we see these bigger and bigger games, like I think Florida does Florida play Georgia this year? They play them every year.
Well, they just played Alabama last week, and that was a close game.
That was a good game. That was actually a very good game. I mean, 3 point or 2 points, I think it was. That was a very.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think. Did you call that on here?
I have no clue, to be honest with you, but I definitely thought Bama was going to beat Florida handily, but not by 3 points. So
yeah, I mean, it was impressive.
It was 2 points because they went for 2.
We did say that it was like,
that was I didn't get to watch too much of that game.
It was a horrible. They did a read option, and the quarterback like never let go of the ball until the defender was basically like kissing him, and then he let go, and then they just tackled him. It was like
It
the
was one
worst
of those
2-point
games-
conversion call. Terrible.
I
It
think we
was
talked
horrible.
about it last week where it was a show out. It was a who's game for basically a lot of teams, because if Florida got stomped, then it's like, is Florida real? And also, like, how good can Bama be in the eye test, because they're just stomping everyone, which could go one of two ways. Either everyone sucks that you're playing, or you're really good. I think it's come to terms that everyone is beatable. I alluded to it earlier. Clemson is not. Clemson, I think Clemson's worse than Ohio State. And I understand that Ohio State's defense is not anywhere near where we thought they'd be. They are in the top 10, yes. Clemson's right there at number 9, I think. Clemson is not good. Like, Clemson's not good. I don't even know. I still have a UNC future for that division, and I think that might actually hit. I think UNC can take that division out of the ACC. I also have money on it, so I kind of need to.
I'll be careful about taking futures in the ACC.
Yeah, it hasn't turned out well yet for you. So
that's what I was going to say. The difference is with Ohio State. Yes, you might say that Clemson is worse, but you're in a worse conference in the AAC, the Big Ten, and you might fall into some pitfalls there. So we'll see what happens.
Are you trying to say the ACC is better or worse than the Big Ten?
Worse.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
I'm saying that Clemson might be a worse team, but they'll do better because they're in a worse conference.
True. Yeah, fair.
I think the ACC is probably. So I wouldn't say they're the worst Power 5, because I think the Pac-12 is the worst Power 5, but I think they're the 4th. I think it goes SEC, Big 10, Big 12, and then the other 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Bama isn't as dominant as we thought the previous 2 weeks, right? So I mean, they were blowing everyone out, and then all of a sudden Florida comes in. Is Florida the real deal? I mean, they stayed at 11, but is Florida like any sort of legit? Because they seem to be, and they kind of gave Bama a run for their money. Obviously, it was a 2-point game, and so Bama can be beat. Bama can be beat. It's possible. Do we see them getting upset? Maybe in Kyle Field with the 12th man down there. I mean, I think that's going to be a possibility, especially
it just depends if their quarterback is back.
Yeah, I mean, that defense, though, I think that defense is good enough to like at least hold them there. And the thing with Florida is they were obviously able to hold them to 31 points, which is pretty significant for a team like Bama, where, ideally the last 2 weeks we were like, they're going to put 50 on everyone. So they got held to 31. Texas A&M's defense is legit. I mean, they're like a top 5, maybe even top 10 if we have to get conservative.
I think A&M needs to worry about the Hogs this week going to Arkansas. So I think they need to worry about that before they worry about Alabama.
Do you think? All right, let's get into that. Do you think that that's a worry game for A&M? Is Arkansas going to pull out another like crazy upset and like actually establish themselves as like mediocre top tier team, or bottom feeding top tier team, or what? Like, are they like legit this year?
I mean, I don't know if they're 100% legit, but I think they are worrisome for A&M, especially with A&M's quarterback being out, because the other guy, I get when they played Colorado, he kind of was just thrown into the fire, and it was one of those things. But I think what he played last week. So he's got like a full game underneath him, unless they played Colorado. I don't know. It's all meshing together for me.
I know it's all meshing together for me too.
But yeah, I don't know. I think the A&M offense with the other quarterback is a lot better than the one with this quarterback. Obviously, they have a good defense. And I can't say I've watched much of Arkansas. I watched a little bit of that Texas game. And so I'm not ready to say that Arkansas is going to be a problem this year, but I'm saying I would worry about it if I were A&M. You can still win the game, but you might come out with like a 3-point win.
Another team that's gonna freaking give Bama could give Bama a run for their money, other than A&M, is Ole Miss. Ole Miss is actually kind of like sneaky good. Like they're like sneaky good. That quarterback's legit.
He has to be the Heisman favorite at the moment.
Yeah. I would. Isn't it like Castle, or it's something like that?
Matt Corral.
Yeah, Corral. I actually gave him a shout out after week 1 because he saved me on a live bet that I have. I actually took him, good. Not even a live bet, a prop bet. I took him for, I think it was like 184 yards thrown or something like that, or maybe it's 284
Yeah,
yards thrown.
Saying that,
and he hit it on the money. So shout out that guy. I will root for him to win the Heisman because of that. And Hottie Toddy, I mean, like they could do some damage this year. I mean, if they fuck around and like make an upset or two, like, are they going to be in the fucking playoffs?
Well, it's clear there's going to be 2 SEC teams in the playoffs at this point in the season. It's just a matter of Alabama and who else? Georgia. I mean,
when does Florida play Georgia? I mean, we need to figure that out. When does Florida play Georgia? Jake, what are your thoughts on A&M and Arkansas this weekend?
Well, I think the thing is that I believe if Arkansas wins this game and they beat Texas A&M, I mean, you got 2 pretty good wins. I mean, the Texas thing is Texas is so up and down. They're the hottest and coldest team in the country. One week they'll come in, score 50, and they'll look great. The next week they just lay goose egg. And
Jake, are you trying to say that they're not? Are you trying to say they're not back?
Well, I mean, I don't know when they've ever been back in the past 20.
From where?
Mean, yeah, like it just doesn't make any sense. So I think the thing is A&M gives you a solid A&M. I put money on is a good team. If you can beat that, if Arkansas can do that, then I think it's all right. I've watched a little bit of Arkansas and they've been really up and down too. I think they struggled with Rice or something. And then Texas played Rice last week and just destroyed them. And so it's like, it doesn't make I don't know. Everything that's going on this year is just crazy. So I
just pulled up this Georgia schedule and it's going to be tough for Arkansas because they have A&M this week and next week they have Georgia. So, but yeah, that Florida game for Georgia is week 8, the day before Halloween. So,
okay, gotcha. So
the obvious biggest problem is that you're in the West. Bama's in the West. You're in the West. You're screwed. Like that's just how it is.
Basically, yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, hey, we've seen Ole Miss has pulled those upsets before. I think it was like 6 years ago or so, maybe even 7 years ago, maybe even longer than that. It might have been before I graduated high school back in 2014. But I remember distinctly an Ole Miss Bama game being down to that wire.
Who was the head coach down there? Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, exactly. And
they won back to back. They won with Chad Kelly, and then they won with
Kelly. Exactly, that's the name I was thinking of. Right
oh gosh, who's the other guy?
I can't remember the other guys. Yeah, I can't remember his name. I can see
Chad
him.
Was 10, and then 14. They won because he got the pick in the back of the end zone where they didn't call it on the field. They went to review and he tapped his toe in bounds.
But see, it seems like that. Like Ole Miss could fuck around. Lane Kiffin's down there. I mean, he wants. I mean, he's not a coach that will just roll over. So like, he wants some wins. Yeah. He follows one person on Instagram. Who do you guys think he follows on Instagram? Preston, if you know
I saw this. I know it. Yeah, I saw it, so I know it.
No idea.
Who do you think Lane Kiffin? Katy Perry. Who do you think he follows on Instagram, Jake? For real, I'll give you this. He's a prospect. He's a recruit.
Oh, he's a recruit? Yeah, then I have no idea.
Arch Manning.
Ah, yeah. A lot of people have been going over Arch. Arch visited Texas. He visited a lot of these schools.
He went to Georgia this past weekend.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I don't think he's
getting back to the point, Lane Kiffin is not going to, he's not just going to roll over, if the game's close, he's not rolling over, or even if it's not, they're still going to be in it. Ideally, we don't know. Maybe they're frauds and Bama shows us their true color. Bama shows us Ole Miss's true colors. But if Ole Miss wears them powdered blues against Bama, like they might fuck around and win that game. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that was a blanketed statement. I guess everyone agreed.
Are you nervous about West Virginia coming in?
I'm more nervous. Yeah, that they didn't play since they didn't play him last year. And you don't really know like what this team is able to do because you didn't get a chance to play them last year. That was the one team that they didn't get a chance to play in the Big 12. I mean, I know the defense is what OU's leaning on right now, and I know that they're pretty good. If it weren't for the defense, they probably would have lost to Nebraska last week. So the defense is definitely playing better than what they did that first week against Tulane. That front sevens was getting push on that Nebraska offensive line, which is not a bad offensive line. They were getting past those guys, and it's just one of those things. if Lincoln Riley, I think, doesn't play it conservative like he tends to do in the second half, I think that it should be over by at least, beginning of the fourth quarter. Idealistically, I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. But I'm slightly worried, yes, about West Virginia coming to town this week for sure.
Well, shout out to my cousin Josh. He goes to West Virginia. And I think for the last 3 years since I've been doing a show with Jake or with Preston, I think for the last, 2 years, I should say, this will be the third year straight. I'll have to check the tapes for that, but I'm pretty sure I've taken West Virginia spread against OU the last 2 years, and it will be a third consecutive year this year because we're going to get right into the picks here in a second, but I'm going to give you guys one of my picks. I got West Virginia. That's the one where before we started recording earlier, where I was like, I don't know if I got all the picks I want to take. I have other picks that I have money on that I didn't want to use for the show just because I have like different bets here and there, but the show picks, I'm actually like, I'm kind of like, I want that trophy that we're going to be having, wink, wink. And so, yeah, I'm taking West Virginia to plus 16. The only thing that worries me is it is on the road. And so that could be a little worrisome. West Virginia doesn't usually do good on the road, let alone against OU on the road. But they just got done beating Virginia Tech. I think it was, that's a ranked team. I know it's Virginia Tech. I'm not saying Virginia Tech is like OU, but it's still a ranked team. Week 3 ranked team, and which is kind of like a little bit legit, not fully legit, but we get a better idea of teams, and they beat them. And so I got feelings that West Virginia's up on themselves, 16 points. I don't even think OU's covered 16 points other than week 2. Yeah, the 2 games that were actually close, they weren't 16-point spreads. They were like 3-point spreads or 5-point spreads against Tulane or whatever it was. Well, the spread wasn't, but the ending spread was. Yeah. The ending difference was. So, yeah, I like West Virginia plus 16. I also got them. I think I also have a money line. So, but that's just, I'm not taking that money line for the show, by the way. I'm taking the spread for the show. The money line, I just have money on because it's plus 600 and
something wild.
It's plus 605. So I had to throw some money on that. I actually got some cool parlays. Before we get into our actual picks, I want to throw a couple parlays that I created out yesterday, actually, as I was watching Monday Night Football. I created a couple. By the way, I hit on a bet this past week on a prop bet. Fuck Bet Online. I hate using them, but like they're one of the few that we can use around here. I wish we could use the damn Barstool Sportsbook app. Be way better, I feel like. But I had a prop bet, future bet before the game started on Sunday that Baker would have 2 or more touchdowns. He had a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. And
I know you were sweating it though whenever he went out with the shoulder injury. So
yeah, 100%, because it was plus 3,900. And so if the game ends, he has 2 touchdowns, and it says I lost the bet, and I'm sitting there trying to talk with the guys from the support team or whatever. And I'm like, look, he got 2 touchdowns. And then they were like, oh, it has to be scored, and they have to have the ball in the end zone. Like they have to either rush or receive it in the end zone. I was like, it does not say that. It has Baker Mayfield to have 2 or more touchdowns. He had 2 or more touchdowns. He had a pass. And it took me not 2 days. It took me over 24 hours straight. I was just talking. I got on there and messaged them and emailed them and called them. Finally, when I called them, the person I was messaging on the end, anyway, long story short, I got my bet. I won it. They fucking finally gave it to me, but it's plus 3,900. I love that pick. And I got a couple more this weekend. I got all the overs in NFL. I'm taking all the overs. It's an over weekend. I'm feeling it. And I'm also taking all the dogs. So all the overs pick, and these are, by the way, no unit shaming, but I'm only doing $1 on these big, insane, like risky parlays. But the overs one's going to if it cashes, it gets me $1,200. If the next one, I have all the dogs. So all money line dogs, $1 to win 105K. Like, you bet your ass I'll put $1 on that. And also, if you look at it, it's a week where there's a couple that, like, if a couple hit, a couple of the dogs are more like paper dogs. You know what else? You know what I mean? Like, where you actually look at them and like, they're going to win the game. But the only one I'm truly worried about is Thursday night, game 1, Houston Texans, Jackson and Carolina Panthers. Like, Texans
Those are
can't
always
do
the worst
nothing
games
without Tyrod.
too. Yeah.
And so if that one hits, like I got a pretty good feeling going into Sunday. And boys, this could be a whole different show next week if a couple things go right. And so you guys got
to put some trust in Mills Mafia this Thursday. Mills Mafia. All right.
Mills. Oh yeah. Because all I need is and shout out the Panthers. They're actually a decent team. They won handily against the Saints this past weekend. I think it was like they won by like 17 points or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact score, but yeah, they did win over which Jameis. I don't know. Maybe his LASIK doesn't travel well or something, but man, he definitely regressed from week 1. That is for sure.
Oh,
but you want us to go ahead and get it. Go ahead and give your picks.
Go into
you got to get out of here.
Your guys' picks real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to drop my picks because I'm about to have to go here in a second. I agree with Chris. Last week, the worst decision of my life. I didn't take Nebraska. I should have taken Nebraska. That was the easy pick. So this week, I'm taking West Virginia. West Virginia plus 16. I think the thing is I understand West Virginia has never beaten OU in the Big 12. They did beat them the very first, right before they got in the Big 12 in the Fiesta Bowl. But ever since then, I don't know what it is, but 0-8. But then so I'm taking West Virginia plus 16. We'll see if Preston's prediction is right about the Big 12 and the refereeing, if they're going to be against OU. We'll see what happens. Hopefully that's it. So West Virginia plus 16. Mississippi State, LSU minus 2.5. I'm taking LSU. I think LSU, historic program. I'm rolling against my man Mike Leach. It hurts me. It kills my soul. But 2.5 is just not that's almost just basically a pick 'em. It's almost just a win. So
I didn't take that game, but I was going to take. I think I have that. I think I have it in one of my parlays, but it's not like an official pick for this show. I like Mississippi State in that game, Jake. I don't know. I mean, they got to get a redemption game after this past weekend. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, and then obviously College Game Day, which I pick every week, which is Notre Dame, Wisconsin. This is a tough one, but like I said a couple weeks ago, Notre Dame's a fraud. I'm taking Wisconsin minus 6. So
I'd hammer the under on that game as well.
Yeah.
What is that? What's the over under for that game?
I can pull it up right now.
Jake, I do like that Notre Dame. You're going
46.5. No way there is 46.5 points scored in that football game.
Yeah. Even though that's a low over under,
that is still probably going to under.
But it's still probably going to go under because I did take
Notre Dame. Full disclosure, everyone knows this. I took Notre Dame last week. They did cover, but I said I kind of had to because it was too easy. It was Purdue. It was 7 points. Like that's just it's Purdue. The only thing I did sweat when I saw that they weren't allowed to bring that big drum in. I did have a little sweat come down my face when I read that. I was like, oh, Purdue might have a vengeance game. Jake, if you got a bounce.
Those are my picks, guys. I got to go.
All right.
If you got to bounce, have at it. We'll wrap up the show here in a little bit. And, well, guys, it's the first time you guys are seeing someone bail on the show. At least he dropped his picks. I'll give him respect for that. Next week, next week, Jake has to open the show for leaving early. All right.
Absolutely.
So we'll do that. Right. So, Jake, see you.
Appreciate it. See you guys next week.
Jake has to end. There we go. All right, Preston. Now we can talk shit about Oklahoma State. Have you seen what Mike Gundy has been saying about fucking milk and stuff?
I have not.
I saw some little presser that was put out about at a media day or whatever. He was talking all this stuff about players don't drink milk anymore. It was just funny. Anyway, that was for the show so that when Jake comes and watches us back, he can see that we kept it going.
God damn those motherfuckers.
Yeah, dude, I put $1 on all the dogs for the NFL game. Not all of them. I think it's 11 team parlay or 10 team parlay. But hey, you know what? I think it's not bad. I mean, the one I'm really worried about is the Texans. If the Texans can win against the Panthers, then I have high hopes and I will be riding high Sunday.
At Houston or in Carolina?
At Houston. It's at Houston. So I mean,
I don't know how much that plays into it, but
I don't know.
They're at home.
Let me see what the other ones are. This can kind of be a cool shoot the shit episode towards the end. So if you guys are watching and listening still, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it especially Preston and your friends that are watching. If you guys continue to just keep watching us, supporting us, it really will help. This production will get better as we go, and we all can keep doing this more and more and more. And as more sports happen, hopefully we can do a couple more episodes a week as all of our time frees up with sport. Well, I say free up, but as we can as we are able to dedicate more time to this, we all would love to do so. And your support means a lot. So be sure to go subscribe, and follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to this YouTube channel or Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening. It really does help. I myself am going to be doing Rabbit Hole Radio on Twitch here soon. Just got to get some stuff worked out on that, and then we'll have it figured out, and I'll be going live on there. So if you guys can pop in, ask questions, listen to some of my takes, share it, if you will, that'd be great as well. But yeah, let me pull up this freaking 10-team parlay I got going on. I got Houston Texans to win. I got Jacksonville to win against Cardinals, which is probably not going to happen.
Yeah, but I think you could just stop right there, because I know the Cardinals, man, they're looking pretty good.
I know they look really good, but they also got a close game against Minnesota, and this is a very we need to win type game for Jacksonville.
Is that at Jacksonville?
It is, I believe it is at Jacksonville. It only says versus, but they are the second team. So I'm going to assume, I don't know exactly how this website does it. It is, I believe, at Jacksonville. I need the Washington football team to beat the Bills. I need the New Orleans Saints to beat the Patriots. I need the Chargers to beat the Chiefs, which there you go. Yeah. So I have to root for you. But actually, by the way, if this loses on Thursday, I don't have to root for the Chargers. And I will not root for the Chargers because Bills Mafia. They are, because the Giants are down bad, very down bad, which, by the way, I have the Falcons in this parlay to beat the Giants. So there's a lot of emotions going opposite directions this week. But 105K is on the line. And so I also have Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Steelers, Jets to beat the Broncos, and Vikings to beat the Seahawks, and Eagles to beat the Cowboys. That's in the parlay. All those teams I just listed that I need to win, that's in a $1 parlay to win 105K. If that hits, there are going to be some donations happening. Very small donations. Very small donations happening.
There you go.
And then I have all the
question
overs.
for you. Yeah, a question for you. It's so far, since you watch NFL probably about as equally as much as I do. I know I have Red Zone on, usually another TV on with one of the games. What are your thoughts so far on who's the best team in each conference?
All right, so it's going to be hard for a couple conferences, because the NFC West is probably the best division there is. In terms,
I like the Rams out there though, because so far the Rams, 100%.
I think they're the best. I think if I had to pick, I would I was about to get to it, but yeah, I think the Rams. Stafford is just he's in his zone. He wants this. He could honestly he could win it all this year with the Rams, retire, and then just be I fucking had my perfect. It doesn't not an undefeated season, but in his eyes, the perfect season to be
give the double burst to Detroit and be this is what you could have done and could have had. If you would have just put stuff around me besides letting Megatron walk.
Which, by the way, that storyline that was coming out this past week of him trying to squash the beef, and then they want him to work 20 hours a week for the next 2 years or whatever. It's stupid. Stupid what that guy did for their franchise, and then for them to do that to him, it's insane. But yeah, so that NFC West division is probably the toughest, because easily with just a couple bad calls or just a couple big plays, the Cardinals could upset the Rams. I say upset. That is probably the closely knit division there is. Seahawks are good, 49ers are good, Rams are good, and Cardinals are good. They're all just very
good. And I know we talked about
the
this.
AFC West.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. We touched on it last week. But I mean, you have the Chiefs, who they're 1-1. They lost that close game to the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. You know, that is what it is. The Chiefs are going to get it figured out. You have the Broncos, who kind of out of nowhere, they have a good defense, but Teddy Bridgewater is slinging the ball all over the field for the Broncos right now. Then you have the Raiders. Yeah, it's probably not going to last, but so far to start the season, they're hot. And then, of course, you have the Chargers, who tough loss to the Cowboys, but I mean, you fixed a couple of things and you can bounce back from that. I mean, they had a couple guys out on defense. They had, when their starting right tackle was out, so they had Storm Norton. If you're listening to this, I know you're not, but come on, bro. Come on. Like, you let a rookie, Micah Parsons, just absolutely take you to Pound Town all Sunday, just tearing you to pieces, bro. Well, which I'm not saying, obviously, I couldn't do any better, but it is like, I'm sitting here talking shit about football. I'm going to say, hey, dude, come on.
Call it like you see it, dude. Call it like you see it. But I do think like the NFC West and AFC West are like the best divisions there are. Obviously, you have the Buccaneers down there. The Saints are really good. I know they just lost to the Panthers, but the Panthers aren't bad.
Panthers could be a sneaky team, yeah.
I mean, I don't think I got the chance to say it on this show this year since the trade happened, but I do think Sam Darnold is going to, he might not be like a Hall of Fame quarterback, but like he's going to be a very good quarterback for the Panthers. I think getting out of that New York media spotlight, I mean, it sucks for any quarterback going into New York, whether you're the Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Yankees, Mets, Rangers, Islanders. It doesn't matter. If you go to a sports team in New York, you have the most amount of pressure on you than anywhere else in the country. Anywhere else, probably I don't know about the world, but definitely for American sports, like you have the most amount of pressure anywhere. And so for those quarterbacks, Daniel Jones is alike, just like fucking, just damn it, this fucking camera.
But yeah, no, and of course, yeah,
I feel bad for Zach Wilson.
He gets out of New York and goes down to Matt Rule being his head coach, and I think Matt Rule is a pretty good head coach. Of course, he has Joe Brady as offensive coordinator or quarterback. I can't remember. He's either the offensive coordinator.
No, I think it's offensive coordinator. Yeah, I think it's offensive coordinator.
And which, if that guy ends up, they make it to the playoffs or something, that dude's going to get paid somewhere. I don't know where he's going to end up coaching, but he'll get paid.
I don't know if he wants to stay in the NFL, but I mean, shouldn't USC be looking at him?
No, yeah, I think like recruiting wise, because he's shown what he could do with Joe Burrow. He's shown now. I mean, Darnold, not bad. He can show what he can do with him.
Yeah.
If you're USC, you want to get a young guy out there that knows what the hell he's doing and can recruit his ass off out there in Southern California. Which, for everything that I understand, I think Joe Brady is a good recruiter. So I think that's something that you need. So
it's especially at the quarterback level. I mean, he clearly showed he can run an offense with elite receiving core and like, I don't know if and this is no disrespect to Joe Burrow, none. I think he's actually a really great quarterback. I think since he can put the fucking pieces around him, I think he could be a like very,
and by pieces you mean offensive line. If they can get someone to block for him,
if they can get someone to block for him, he's going to be very good. I think that, and we got another fucking time on the thing. I think that he's shown that he can work with a quarterback, make him good, but it's impressive that he's done it at two. I mean, obviously it's to be seen for season long with Sam Darnold, but like if Sam Darnold can have very good success for this whole year, like that shows you he can make you a good quarterback in college. He can help you be a good quarterback in the NFL, and you really don't need help recruiting in USC. It kind of recruits for itself, especially now with the NIL. Now it's just about like pulling them away from Oregon or pulling them away from like, that's about it, especially in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Like, no one else you're not competing in with anyone else for like elite quarterbacks. That's it. And so I think that'd be an insane opportunity for him to go out in USC, be the guy that brings that team back. I mean, I know I talked on it last week with Nick Saban going there. It's a very far off hot take. I know that, but like, I also kind of do believe that could be a potential thing or Texas even. But USC would be like, that's the dream job for any coach that thinks they could have like real success, because not only do you have the team, not only does it recruit itself, but you have a very historic school or program that you can revitalize basically. So like that would be the person. I mean, if he were to come back from the NFL, that would be the school to go to. I think clearly the best team in NFL is the Bucs. I mean, that's just Tom Brady had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in like 5 minutes. Like,
yeah, no, it's unbelievable what he's able to do with. And even Gronk, for that matter, Gronk has 4 touchdowns on the season so far. I think he scored 2 last weekend, right?
He's got 4 total this year.
It's just insane what they've been able to do just through 2 games down there. That offense looks like they're rocking, and that defense, I mean, they're the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even get to watch too many of the games. Just saw like the highlights, and stat line. I kept track on the game tracker for that game. I didn't get to watch it because I just didn't out here in Oklahoma. Didn't get to watch it. But yeah, they're the best team. The Chiefs obviously are beatable. This could be another MVP performance by Lamar Jackson for this whole year. It remains to be seen. I think the Bills will turn around and start being good again, but that's also dependent on health situations. If everyone stays healthy up there, the Patriots could be sneaky Super Bowl contenders too. They're like good. And as long as Mac Jones settles in and just figures out all he needs to do this year is just run the offense. He doesn't need to do anything spectacular, which I don't think he has. I think he's just ran it, which is what he should do. Don't try to be Tom Brady day one, like grow into it. And so that's a perfect situation out there. I think Andy Dalton's out, so Fields is in Chicago. I'm excited to see what they do this weekend against the Browns. That's going to be a tough game, but the Bears have a decent defense.
That is one of those things that Matt Nagy, I don't know what you're thinking, dude, but yeah, you might have told Andy Dalton, no, yeah, it's your starting job before the draft, but you go and your team drafts Justin Fields, and I get you don't want to start him against the Rams. That's understandable because I wouldn't want to play against Aaron Donald week 1 either. But it's one of those things like put him in, like give him more run than what you've given him. Like you let him throw the ball twice a game. Like this kid, it's out there every time I've watched him play like in like the preseason. He's been slinging the ball all over the field. So I don't know why you don't let him get more run than Andy Dalton that can't literally do anything.
I think it's the play call. And I think he has the range of the play calling, and I don't think he should. I think that's a situation out there. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see him. I don't know if he's starting this weekend. I don't know if Andy Dalton's still out. That might not be determined yet. It's only Tuesday when we record this, by the way. So if you're watching or listening heading into the weekend, we do record on Tuesdays right now. That could change soon, but as of right now, it's Tuesdays. So I don't know if Andy Dalton's starting that game or not. But if Justin Fields starts for the Bears against the Browns, I'm very interested to see how that game goes, the play calling that they choose to do, because that could be the Browns are 2-0, right? And that could be a sneaky up. That could be a sneaky win.
No, they lost week 1 to Kansas City.
They're 1-1. They lost to KC, but that was a close game. They should be 2-0 had they won that game. So it's going to be interesting to see them play them. The Browns are a good team, and Odell's still on the sideline. Like Odell's not. Yeah,
which just sucks. They lost Jarvis Landry, but I think Odell's coming back this week.
Oh so for sure. He's definitely. He could have came back this past week.
Jarvis. Yeah.
So I mean, it's still. I think NFL, you get a better idea around week 5 and 6 of who you got for teams. College, it's like we're starting to see like who and what we got already. Like obviously, like another week or 2 we'll definitely know better, but like you kind of know what you got the first 3 weeks because you could see where they need to make the progressions easier. I think than NFL. I think NFL, it's like, well, like can they even fix that problem or what? But that's enough NFL talk. Let's get into our picks. We got to quick fire these picks. We got 4 minutes until Zoom kicks us off. So go ahead, quick fire launch your picks out there. I'll launch my picks out there. If we got to talk about them real quick, we can, and then we'll wrap this boy up.
Okay. I'm taking Bama versus Southern Miss over 58. I think that's just an easy. Bama's going to score 58 themselves. And then this might surprise Jake, but I'm telling you right now, I'm taking OSU -6 versus K-State this week. All right. So don't let me down, Cowboys, because I don't ever want to pick you, but do not let me down this week because I went 0-3 and I need some good luck. And then, of course,
is this a vengeance pick against K-State?
Yeah, sure. We'll go to that. We got K-State next week, but I think they're doing it this week. All right. This is the week they get it turned around. Lincoln Riley and the Sooners right the wrongs. They're going to come into Gaylord Memorial Stadium and beat the shit out of West Virginia. So I'm taking Oklahoma minus, 16 or 16 and a half? Because I have 16 and a half.
I got West Virginia at 16.
Okay, so I'm taking Oklahoma minus 16. They're going to beat the shit out of the Mountaineers like they do every year. And we're going to roll on. Those are my 3 picks.
That's your 3 picks. All right. I wasn't going to have West Virginia for this show, but I am going to ride them against you. I'm riding West Virginia, and shout out my cousin Josh. We might actually have him on next week. Depends on how this game goes. West Virginia's plus 16. I do have the money line. I'm not for the show though. So records wise for the show, not money line, but I do have a money line, and I don't like it, but I do have it. And then I have a pick that, I think it's kind of an underrated team. I think Wake Forest is they're sneaky right now. They're +4 against, I think it is Virginia. They are +4. Yeah. +4 against Virginia. I like App State -7 and those -7 against Marshall. So I got App State -7, Wake Forest +4, and West Virginia +16. I also did want to add Texas A&M to the card. I am not going to. There could be a potential for a late addition to my card come Saturday morning.
Me as well. I think I might add the under on that game day.
Yeah. So right now I got 3 teams. I got App State, Wake Forest, and West Virginia. I potentially will be adding a card Saturday adding a pick Saturday morning. I do usually find one that I like where the line changed throughout the week. And something just like that Michigan State game hit me like a freaking ton of bricks. I was like, Michigan State's covering that. They're winning outright. And they did. And so, those are my 3 picks. Look out for an extra pick or 2 come Saturday morning from me and probably Preston as well on Twitter at the Bake is Here for myself. And Preston is at
Preston Pool 405. Yep.
405. I don't know why I still haven't gotten that down yet. Preston Pool. I've been saying it for the last 3 years. Preston Pool 405 at the Bakes here, at Jake Cart, at Rabbit Hole. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hit that subscribe button below or on Spotify, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. Please like, share, subscribe. All those things you hear from your cool YouTubers that you watch and stuff. Please do that for us. It starts from the bottom. And then we just rise up. If I win 105K next week, this show is going off the rails. So you guys gotta root for them fucking dogs this week. Let's go. Let's fucking go. All right, that's the
Underdog
show.
Week.
Peace.
Here we go. See you.
See you, Preston.
See you, man.